Did you know that every word you speak matters? Are your conversations making a difference? With a passion for words and a heart for conversation, Teresa Velardi is a self-professed word nerd, best-selling author, BizCat 360 columnist, and publisher. Children's books as well as fiction and nonfiction books are welcomed at We Be Books Publishing and Book Endeavors, the imprints of her company, Authentic Endeavors Publishing. Whether written or spoken, Teresa strives to encourage and inspire meaningful conversations that make a difference. Here's the host of Conversations That Make a Difference, Teresa Velardi.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Conversations That Make a Difference. I'm Teresa Velardi, your host, and we are here for an incredible conversation with Joe Dimeo, who is the very first person to undergo a successful face and double hand transplant. But before we get to introduce Joe, I first want to do some housekeeping. Conversations That Make a Difference airs Tuesdays at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in video shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern. You can listen live on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 radio network. You can view online, on your mobile phone, in your car, and YouTube, and you can ask Alexa to play Dreamvisions 7 radio network. So get your apps. To learn more and for a full schedule, just go to dreamvisions7radio.com. And as most of you know, if you've been listening to me for a while, I usually start our time together with a prayer. So let's do that now. We'll say the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And it is by God's grace that we are indeed fabulous, blessed, highly favored, living in our greatness, using our gifts and talents, making a difference in the lives of others with passion and purpose, and all of God's great universe is conspiring in our favor. And so we gratefully say, amen. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about Joe. In July of 2018, Joe Dimeo was 20 years old and planning his future. One fateful morning, after working an extra late night shift, Joe fell asleep at the wheel of his car on his way home, and he lost control, rolled several times before the car burst into flames. He suffered third-degree burns over 80% of his body. And Joe, after undergoing a nearly 24-hour surgery in 2021, is indeed the world's first successful face and double hand transplant. Joe, welcome to Conversations That Make a Difference. I'm delighted to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing good. Nice to be here too.
I'm glad that you're with us. So, Joe, your story is one that's not new to Conversations That Make a Difference. You've been interviewed by many, many people on many talk shows and radio networks and podcasts. You are indeed someone who has taken lemons and made them into lemonade, if you will. I know that you are living your best life possible today. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience as you went through this incredible transformation? So talk a little bit about the day, what was in between, and maybe give us a hint as to what your life is now. And you can take your time and go as you wish.
Yeah, so that day, the day of, I was golfing with my dad, and I only know that because of when I got my phone back, I went through my Snapchat, and the last picture I took was like the day of me taking a picture of the golf ball of the field. So that's the only thing I remember of the day, because I don't remember clocking in. Because my parents say we went to dinner too, and then I went to bed after that. And so I remember eating dinner. That's how far back my memory doesn't go on that day. And then because my mom has pictures of me at the dinner, which I don't know if she has anymore, but I saw them. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then so I was doing usual shit. I clocked in, and it was an overtime shift, so it wasn't my normal shift. It was a weekend, so it was like a Saturday going into a Sunday, and So I just doing a normal shift, nothing like I felt nothing wrong during the shift, I guess. And I was just driving home, and I guess my body just couldn't take it no more, and I just conked out. Yeah, just I overworked myself because I was a young 19-year-old, just turned 20 at that time, and since I was 18, I was constantly working at that job and always doing night shifts, Monday to Sunday, always overtime because Saturday and Sundays are overtime. And so I was just constantly doing overtime, always doing double shifts in the IC. Never said no because I just wanted the money and I wasn't struggling nothing. I just wanted the extra like mess around money. I always like to have like money to spend and money on hand just in case something bad happens. And
Mhm.
I'm also a car guy, so it's nice to have money for car parts, especially when something breaks, you have to fix it right away. And
Yeah.
I like to work my own car at that time. I can't do it no more, but
What kind of
so
car
I
were you
always
in? What kind of car were you driving at that time?
at the time I was on a Dodge Challenger RT,
Hmm.
all blacked out, and I had to like I only exhaust modifications. I didn't want to do nothing to the engine because I thought that was a waste of money on an RT because I could just save and get a better car. So I wanted to
Hmm.
work on the engine. And I wasn't want a permanent car either. I wanted another car after that. I think on my permanent car, I would do engine modifications, but that's a whole nother story. But my body just conked out on that night, and that morning, early morning, about like 7 o'clock in the morning, about 6:30, I think, because on overtime shifts they take out the lunch break, so you don't have the hour break. You just work through it, which I don't mind. I think I like that better than the lunch break, honestly. Like, I wish they did that during the week to my regular schedule. So at least I get to go home an hour early and eat what I want. I'm not have to rush to eat. And like my car flipped a couple of times and caught on fire. I was halfway out the car and a good Samaritan, like pulled me out the rest of the way. Took the ambulance about like 3 minutes to get there, which is pretty impressive. I saw the police report later on. Pretty impressive. The police do have a video of the crash, which I would like to see, but they they say no. I guess they don't think I can handle it, but I just want to see my car flip. I'm very curious. I'm pretty okay with I'm okay with the situation, so I'm ready to see it. I was always ready to see it. Yeah, I woke up from the coma about 3.5 months later.
So let me ask a question. So do you have memory of that Good Samaritan pulling you out of the car, or is all of that blank? And the next thing you remember besides getting into your car to go home is when you woke up 3.5 months later from the medically induced coma?
Yeah, I just remember waking up from the coma because all that was just told from the police report, and then the Samaritan got to meet my parents, police station, so he got to tell my parents the story, and so I'm just going off of like that stuff. And then also my coworker was there too because he tried the same way home, so he saw it too.
Mm.
So we got to meet up afterwards, and he told me the real story, like on like he saw me actually fall asleep at the wheel, which I thought that was pretty interesting.
Wow.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. So then, so basically you were working overtime, you had an interest in cars, you were saving for your future, looking for doing things that you wanted to do, using the job as a means to get there. And unfortunately, having been on an overtime shift, this tragic event happened. So now here we are, 3 months later, 3.5 months later, you're out of the coma. What's the first thing you remember?
The first thing I remember is I asked my mom how the rooms in my car because she was there. She was there every day when I was in the coma. Because my parents were retired, so my mom had the luxury of being there all the time. My dad was there all the time too, but he had to take care of the dogs at home. So my mom was there, so I asked how my rooms in my car. She says, "Well, Joe, it's done. Your car is finished. Your doctors will explain your medical condition, but your car is done.
So the first
Everything
thing you
had,
asked her was about your car?
yeah, I knew something happened because I was in the hospital. So I was kind of putting two and two together. But they have you on so many drugs in there that it's all a blur. And I just put two and two together. Like something happened to me,
Mhm.
and I'm in the hospital. So I'm assuming it involved my car because I don't do nothing extreme in my life. I don't like do parachuting or bungee jumping, nothing like that. The only thing extreme I would do is, cars, I guess, if people want to call that extreme. But so I knew something happened with my car, and she said it's done.
Go ahead.
Yeah, she said basically your car is done. It's in the junkyard. She said it more like mom though, mom tone, not like how I'm saying it. Pretty straightforward. She said it more sentimental value, I guess, and basically like yeah, you basically restart over again with your car, and uh, yeah, then the nurses came in, did their nursing stuff, which I don't know, there's like four nurses at once. They pushed me onto the side, and she wanted to go get coffee, like to do the work, and just constant questions over and over again, and repeated questions just in case they catch me in like something I said differently or
Mhm.
whatever. But they did like their vitals and see if I was stable, just in case I should be put back in the coma. But I was fine, and they said, "All right, wait till the doctor comes in tomorrow morning, and you'll know the severity of your injuries." I was like, "Why can't you guys tell me? You're the nurses. You see me 24/7. The doctor's at home right now chilling, and you guys are here looking at me." And like, well, we don't want to step on the doctor's toes, and he's going to operate on you. And I was like, all right, well, I guess that's how that works.
Uh-huh.
And so when the doctor came the next morning, he told me you have 8% burns. Uh, your eyelids are burnt off. So in the long run, you would have went blind. So they sutured it in a way. So I was looking at a chain link fence, and they amputated my fingertips. So I
Wow.
wasn't able to hold things with one hand no more. Basically, it looked like baby carrots with fingers, and like an L shape my hands because they were stiff from the burns.
Hmm.
So basically, I was doing like an L, I guess, or like a cobra like sign with your hand.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, so he told me that, and not even like a half an hour later, occupational therapy came in, and physical therapy came in to start, getting back on my feet.
Hmm. Hmm. So was it, I'm sure it was incredibly painful to go through all of this, physically painful and emotionally. How were you feeling emotionally during this time? Because a lot of people may have decided to check out. And I want to really honor the fact that you, my friend, are an incredibly courageous young man to have to be going to actually go down the road that you've been going on since that accident. So I want to acknowledge your courage here. So what was going through your mind this whole time, knowing now that the doctor told you were 80% burned, your body was 80% burned, your fingers weren't working, your eyes were covered in and were different than they were before you had this accident. Um, but what was going through your mind?
That sounds like it kind of sucks because all this hard work is down the drain. But you really had time to think. One, you're on so many like medications and drugs that like your brain's kind of foggy. And then on top of that, everyone is surrounding you, like nurses, therapists, occupational therapy, physical therapies always are surrounding you. And I think I had a really good team around me that kept me in a good mood and always joke around. Nothing really like severe. Nothing severe happened to me. Always just I was always just joke around with the OTs and PTs, but there was a lot more physical pain with my hands because of the burns. But
Yeah,
I think what hurt the most is when I found out I couldn't like walk no more at the time.
yeah.
Because I was a big gym guy, always working out in the gym and stuff. So and when I woke up from the coma, I wasn't even able to do a crunch, and I was like, "Well, there goes all this, like, I was at that time, I think
Mhm.
about 6 years just down the drain. 'Cause I started working out like eighth grade summer,
Mhm.
and it was off on years, months, without working out and stuff like that. But all that went down the drain, like in 3 months, one
Mhm.
accident down the drain, and it took about 2, 3, like 5 people just to hold me up.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, just in like trying to stand up from the side of the bed,
Mhm.
and 5 people, and like in like the medical world, physical therapists are mostly girls. I'm 6'1", and at that time I was 170. That's pretty heavy for like a 5 foot girl. So
Mhm.
they had to get like tall guys for me. Like they could only get one guy on the floor that could help me because he was 6'4", but he was like a little older and it was like mid 40s, so he ended up bad back too. So he was really putting in the work just to try to hold me up, and like me and him were both out of breath, and all the other physical therapists were like holding me up by the sides as much as they can.
Mhm.
Uh,
What a
it
journey.
got tricky when I tried to start actually walking. That was a fun moment. I wish I had that on camera or something, or someone took the video of that because there was like 7 people and then a chair just in case, and it was a mess.
Yeah, well, I can imagine that it was quite a struggle for you to get back on your feet again, literally to get back on your feet, let alone take your first steps since this accident happened. But you did, and what amazes me is that you have such an incredible sense of humor that you were able to make light of this in every way possible, as telling jokes to the nurses or whatever. But I just your attitude is just great. People crush under one tiny little thing that might happen in your life, and here you have had a major, major, major situation, and your attitude has taken you through a lot of this, I'm sure. How long were you in the hospital after you came out of the coma and went through all this physical therapy? What was your stay in the hospital before they would release you to go home?
So in the burn unit, I was in there for 4 months. So like half a month just to get me walking a couple of yards
Hmm.
around a unit basically, which I don't know how many feet that is, but uh, I was able to be walked. Then I had to go to a burn rehab, and that was a whole mess because when I was in there, they weren't equipped for my situation.
Hmm.
So they gave me like the students, so like they thought nothing big of me, just like burns, again walking again, but they ain't take into account that the burns can dry up and cut afterwards. So I got a bunch of more new cuts on me and a couple cuts around the back of my knees. So that was a huge downfall. Take a couple steps back because it hurt to stand up now. I was hunched over, and they told my dad, you gotta, open up the doors in your house so he can have a wheelchair. And my dad went like crazy because like that's expensive to open up the doorways in your home. And two, I was supposed to be walking out of there, not going backwards in a wheelchair. So I
Hmm.
walked into the rehab and
Hmm.
now getting pushed down into a wheelchair. So he called the state, he called the mayor of that town. And once the state got involved, they switched everything around, and they gave me the best nurses, they gave me the charge nurses, the case manager got switched. So something fishy was going on there. I guess they were just doing insurance fraud or whatever. I don't know, but
I don't know.
they were just billing the insurance, and it got pretty messy. So I was in the burn unit, burn rehab for like 2 months. And I
Wow.
was only supposed to be in there for like 3 weeks,
Wow.
maybe a month at the worst.
Yeah, but your body, 80% of your body being, and I understand because when the skin tightens up after, as the skin is tightening up after the burns and whatnot, I know that skin can split. And I burned my hand a couple of times and I know what it feels like, but I can't even imagine what you were going through. So a little bit of a backslide, but you got the care that you needed, through the next portion of it. So were you actually in a rehab facility, or you were able to be at home, and do your rehab at home?
Yeah, I was in rehab facility for a while. Until I was able to walk again. Like dad did not want a wheelchair in the house, you know. The
Yeah.
whole point was to get out of the wheelchair and to walk again. And so once I passed the test of walking, I went home, and then my mom had to take care of my cuts, and she did a better job than the actual people in the rehab did, which is it's like my mom's not a nurse. She has nothing medical whatsoever behind her background, you know. It's just she
Mhm.
did real estate and stuff like that, you know. And like she's a mom, so it's
Yeah.
nothing medical. So then she
But
took care of my
the love of a mother will bring you to do things that you never thought you would have to do when it
yeah,
comes to your children. I know I have a child. I have a son who's a little bit older than you. And if he needed me for anything, I would learn how to do whatever it takes in as gentle a way as possible in order to be able to make sure that you were getting better. So kudos to your mom. Shout out to your mom for that. Yes.
yeah, like I knew she meant business when she shortened her nails for me because she likes acrylic nails. That's her thing, and so she shortened them so she wouldn't like poke me like you and like fast, you know, like today if I need help putting on my UV gloves to like drive or something, or she has her nails long back again like how she likes them. They scrape my hand here and there, it hurts, but you know, she's not doing it constantly, so you know, it's once in a blue moon she'll do it for me. So I
Mhm.
don't mind it, but it's just when she's showing her nails, I know she meant business. I'm taking care of me.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, she meant business. Yeah, and we're gonna take a break in just a second, but I wanted to just let everybody know we are talking to Joe Dimeo, and he is the very first person in the world to receive a face and double hand transplant after a tragic accident that burned 80% of his body. So if you're just joining us now, I invite you to come back after this break, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Do you have an uplifting personal story to share? The Daily Gift Book series began with a daily gift of gratitude and a daily gift of hope, both available on Amazon. We're looking for people like you to share a story in our continuing series. Kindness, peace, inspiration, and generosity are just a few of the upcoming topics in the Daily Gift Book series. Your stories matter, and they make a difference. Visit www.dailygiftbookseries.com to find out more on how to submit your story for one of the upcoming titles.
With the hustle and bustle of today's world, how often do you practice gratitude? How can you make it a habit? Gratitude is more than putting a smile on your face and being thankful for the roof over your head. It's expanding your perception and finding gratitude for every opportunity and every challenge. Gratitude is a feeling of connection to things higher than yourself, to God, and to others. We focus on light, positivity, and connections. When we join our grateful hearts together, the power of community attracts more people and even more to be grateful for while making a difference. A grateful heart is infectious. Share it. Join our Grateful Hearts community on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/The Grateful Hearts Community and watch your blessings blossom.
This is Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back. We're continuing to talk to Joe Dimeo, the very first person to have a successful face and double hand transplant. Joe, before we went to break, we talked about the period of time that was between your coming out of the coma and your family taking care of you, having spent some time in a rehab before that, and your mom taking care of you and whatnot. So then they discovered that probably the best thing for you would be to have the transplants that we're going to talk about. But it was 2 years time between the time of the accident and the time that you actually had this life-changing surgery. So can you tell me, and then 2020 was COVID, and so you had that hanging over you as well. So, but yet you endured, and you are living a life, the best life that you can possibly live, given your circumstances and then some. I mean, I met Joe in person, and when he came to the restaurant, he was nicely dressed. You're fashion king, you are. Nicely
Yeah.
dressed with Jessica on his arm, and we had a great time together. So tell me a little bit about the transition from how you were before you were actually approved for this transplant.
Oh yeah, so like I went to my Jersey plastic surgeon to see what more he can do for me. And he basically told me like there's something left. You have no more healthy skin. You can basically live your life like this, but you'll go blind in the long run. Or there's a doctor in New York City that does face transplants, and they're looking to do a face and double hand transplant. And he says that you might be a good candidate for it. Can I take pictures and videos of you to send to him? Sounds like, yeah, like it was an instant yes, because I don't want to go blind in the long run. I know healthy skin. Uh, so I said yes, and he took pictures, videos, sent it off. It took about like a week and a half, 2 weeks for Dr. Rodriguez to reach out and call my parents to say, hey, can you come into the city to, talk more about it? So we did. When I first met him, I liked him right away. Super humble guy, very nice, straight to the point, which I liked.
Mhm.
Uh, and honest too. And once I said yes to him, we just got the ball rolling with a bunch of testing. So they basically know the inside out of me by heart at that time, and just to see I was eligible for a transplant. Like one small thing can make you not good, And but I passed with flying colors. Nothing internal was damaged during the accident, so that was good. And basically, at the end of the testing, COVID hit,
Yeah.
and so now at that time they were looking for a donor. At that time when COVID hit, so they just they slowed down and they focused on COVID and to make sure the donor I got didn't have COVID too. That was a big thing. Uh, so I got 2 calls saying they found a donor, but no, they didn't match up. They went bad, I guess. So they didn't match me. The third time was the go ahead. Everything matched. COVID was like dying down a little bit. Things opened up more at that time. But in the hospital, it was super strict. My doctor had to get like he's a chief of plastics, and he had to get special. He used his power to get both my parents into the hospital instead of just one,
Right.
because I want my mom and dad to be in there with me, not just my mom. Because that's how I would pick my mom to be there, but who's gonna support my mom? So they have to have the duo on there because that wouldn't be fair. So he worked his magic and got both of them in there, and I think I got to call midday too. My mom was outside doing something. I was inside my dog, and my dad was uh, out with his friends because they're opening up stuff again. I think golfing. So he was hitting a bucket alone, probably alone with his friends. I don't know. But he swung over, picked us up, and went to the city. And uh,
Was there a certain amount of time that it took that you had to be in the hospital in order for the transplant to take place? Was there like a window of time that you had to meet in order to be able to receive the transplant?
yeah, I
Because
had to be in there that day. So uh, it was a good thing. He said the only reason why I got the surgery is because I lived in New Jersey. If I lived in another state, it wouldn't have happened. So I had to be there that day. I'm guessing because organs can die. So I guess something medical. I had to be
yes,
there that day. I don't know.
yeah, that's why, so that the cells
Yeah,
don't die. Yeah. So okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
you're
I
in
was
the
in there
hospital.
in 2 hours because since COVID was still a thing, everything was open. The streets are open, so it just for me from my parents' house at that time was like a 25-minute drive, which was now it's an hour because of traffic, but
Yeah.
without traffic, 25 minutes, which is like a huge difference.
Mhm.
Um, And then that next morning, I got the surgery.
Okay.
So,
And the
you know, they,
surgery was nearly 24 hours to be able to do the transplant for the face and the two hands, correct?
yeah, so like my parents got there. Uh, Doctor said you should go home, get some rest because Joe's been going tomorrow morning at 7 or 8 o'clock. I don't remember. And they said, okay. So my parents came back next morning at like 4:30 in the morning. Uh, and my doctor came in at like 6 o'clock in the morning asking, you ready? I was like, yeah, let's start right now. And he's like, you have to hold up because we have to get the rest of the team ready. You know, I was ready to go, but he was trying to see if I was like scared or not, like hesitant, because I could call off the surgery at any time. Like they could, just start the anesthesia and call it off, but uh that's always an option. But he was trying to see if I was trying to call off or not. But no, everything went fine. I went
How
through it.
how did you feel knowing that now you're going to get a new face, and the burnt skin isn't going to be showing, you're getting a new face? How did you feel that this was about to happen? And you said you could have called it off at any time, but obviously you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about how you felt over this whole thing, because I'm sure that um, some people have gone through, any kind of organ transplant is always, there's always a question of whether or not they want to do it, whether or not it's going to work, blah, 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 all the things we tell ourselves in our head. But I can tell just by you saying that they were waiting for you to call it off and you didn't call it off, that you were anxious to get this done. So what were you feeling?
I guess out there like butterflies. Uh, but like I went to bed really easily. I think the annoying part is just not eating.
Yeah.
Uh, because I would have liked to have it before, because like my doctor said, like, you can't die. So it's like, well, if it's a 50-50 chance I'm gonna die, I at least want to have a snack or something before I go, just in case, I don't know. But
Uh,
yeah, I think I only got butterflies when they start to wheel me down, which I wasn't ashamed. I wanted to walk down, but he said no. Hospital rules, you have to get wheelchair down. But just like that's why like, come on, I want to walk at least. Like
mhm.
I think that makes it worse for me not walking. Because you just think more. It's just like, huh,
Yeah.
like I was ready, but I was trying not to get too much on my mind. I was thinking more about my dog at home than
Yeah.
about
What kind of
me.
dog do you have? What kind of dog do you have?
He's a Boston Terrier, a brown and white one. So I was more like what's he up to instead of me? I guess that's just me deflecting, being nervous. I guess I don't know, but I think I got more butterflies going through the operating doors than when I was laying on the table. At the table, I was like, I'm ready. Let's go. Like no
Mhm.
butterflies, no gut feeling. Just I
Oh,
was
that's so
ready.
good.
Uh, my NP was there. She was every time I go into surgery, she was always there, rubbing my shoulders, rubbing my head, and uh, and I fall asleep to that, which is I
Yeah.
don't know if that's a trick or it's just I don't know, but I think that helped me go under.
Yeah, and
Uh,
who was this that was doing that for you?
she's her name's Allison. She's my nurse practitioner.
Mhm.
She's always there, either on my shoulder or on my head, asking if I was okay. I was like, yeah, I'm okay, and then lights out.
Lights out.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, when we come back from our break, which is going to be in just a couple of minutes, we're going to talk about after that. But 24 hours, and then your lights out on the table. You're getting your surgery. 24 hours pass, and then how long were you in the hospital after that surgery?
Uh, I want to say a month and a half, 2 months,
Mm-hmm.
because when I was ready to get released, by Thanksgiving time, actually, it was like maybe 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
My parents got COVID.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I was in the rehab side of the hospital, like getting ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm tired of the hospital food, even though my parents are bringing us outside food a lot. I think that's what helped me. I
Mhm.
think that's what got me through this surgery was my parents bringing me outside food because the hospital food just doesn't have enough protein for me and my body type. Because they
Mhm.
restrict you on the food.
Mhm.
I'm assuming they had the food laid out for older people, so they
Mhm.
have like certain foods for them. But like for a young kid like me that just went through this type of surgery, I need a lot of protein, and I understood that.
Mhm. And how
So
old
like
were you when how old were you when the transplant happened?
I was 22 years old.
22. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I bet you
Um,
couldn't wait to get out to have Thanksgiving dinner. You're such a foodie like me.
yeah, and like I that's the reason I remember because of Thanksgiving and then we had Thanksgiving in New York City for the first time, which it wasn't the best because it was COVID, so everything was closed and it's only takeout, especially in New York City, it's only takeout that time.
Mhm.
No one's are dining, so I was like, this, it doesn't taste the same when it's not indoors. Uh, Even though we went to one of my favorite steakhouses, it still didn't taste the same. Like I knew what it tastes like. I've had it a bunch of times, and it still tastes different. Having it inside a New York City apartment.
Yeah.
Uh, but like that week, my parents couldn't come see me. I think was the hardest week because I didn't get no outside food.
Uh-huh.
But the nurses there were like super nice, and they brought me food. And so yeah, and like I still talk to them till to this day. Talk here and there, and we're like really close to him because I'll never go back to that side of the hospital because it's the rehab side. The
Yeah.
only time I go to the hospital now is for the transplant side, so I'm allowed to talk to them. And
Mhm.
the funny thing is, my girlfriend got to work with one of the night nurses I was with, and she would not stop talking about me, the night nurse, and uh, it was a nice floor. It's just super nice
Is that
nurses.
what is that when you met Jessica? Is that when you met
Oh
her?
no. No, I met Jessica online. I DM'd her on Instagram about her dog. She was living in Cleveland at the time, working on the Cleveland unit to, just having a resume to better her resume. Because
Mhm.
the Cleveland Clinic is the second best hospital in the United States. And she did not want to go to Minnesota because that's the first hospital. The Mayo Clinic is
Wow.
the first best hospital in the United States, but she couldn't do Minnesota, so she did Cleveland. And so I just DM'd her from Instagram about her dogs.
Okay. So let's stop there now because I want when we come back from this break, which we have to take right now, we'll talk about how what drew you to Jessica about her dog, and we'll talk about uh going forward after the transplant. So Joe, thanks for being with me today. We're going to come back in just a few minutes, and for those of you who are just joining us, we're talking to Joe Dimeo, who is the very first person to have a face and double hand transplant. Thanks for listening to Conversations That Make a Difference. We'll be
Are
right
you
back.
one of the many people who said, "Someday I'll write a book," but don't know how to get started? Many wannabe authors have begun with the same question and are now published by Authentic Endeavors Publishing, a multi-imprint hybrid publishing company. Whether you're writing an autobiography, a memoir, a kingdom book, a children's book, a business book, or an anthology, we have a place for you. Visit www.AuthenticEndeavorsPublishing.com for more information or to set up a 20-minute consultation. Your title of published author is within reach.
Born Able exists to highlight and normalize the humanity, worth, and abilities of infants and children born with complex medical conditions. We write, illustrate, and publish books for these children and have featured over 1,000 children throughout the world. Our videos and posts have been viewed over 100 million times on social media as we strive to showcase these amazingly abled kids and fight relentlessly for equal medical care, regardless of diagnosis. All proceeds from Born Able books go directly to the Born Able Foundation. To nominate a special kid to be featured in a Born Able book, go to www.bornable.org to learn more.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velardi's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 radio network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
This is Dreamvision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we're back with Joe Dimeo. Thanks for listening to Conversations That Make a Difference. And Joe, one of the callers that came in on our line has a question for you. They are saying that your speech, your clarity of speech is so good, and that we can understand everything that you're saying, where many people might have not been able to, have gotten that skill back again, or maybe they didn't have it in the first place, but obviously you did. Is there anything that you went through that may have actually been able to give you the ability to speak better, or was it ever affected from the accident?
Yeah, so my voice wasn't affected from the accident,
Mm-hmm.
but I do pronounce certain words wrong, like T's and B's. So sometimes when I say transplant too fast, forget to say the P in it, and if something I talk too fast and I mess up my words, the swelling does prevent me from saying certain words.
Yeah.
So when I'm going through a rejection or something like an infection or something, my face gets a little puffy, and it's harder for me to talk.
Yeah.
So only the swelling prevents you from saying certain words.
Mm-hmm. I think that that's a good answer and a good point, because swelling, or even like I'm thinking about, like whenever I have dental work done, when they give you that Novocaine, it causes swelling, and even after the Novocaine wears off, I still can't pronounce, my tongue gets all whatever. But you're doing really good. I'm impressed with who you are and how you be, and all the things that you go through. You're still able to keep your incredibly good attitude, and you're courageous going through every single thing that you have to go through, as you hit some stumbling blocks along the way with the transplant. So before we went to break, we talked about how you met Jessica, and you said the dog. You commented on her dog. Why? She have the same kind of dog as you?
Yeah, so we have the same dog, as a Boston Terrier. She has a black and white one. I have a brown and white one.
Mm-hmm.
And
And what are their
hold on.
names? What are their names?
The black and white one is Kirkland, and the brown and white one is Buster, which is my dog. And Kirkland's her dog.
Okay. Okay. And
And
so you met her over the dogs, and and she was in not where she wanted to be. She wanted to be in Minnesota, but then how did she end up in New York? Was it a transfer, or was it you that brought her there?
It was she wanted to do travel nursing, and so when we were talking, she wanted to do travel nursing, so she wanted to do a travel job in New York City, because she's originally from LA,
Mm-hmm.
and so she just used that address to do a travel job in New York City, and then we just went from there. We got an apartment together,
Mm-hmm.
and we just went from there. Yeah.
Yeah. So the two of you have a really incredible relationship, and I know that she supports you in every way. But tell me, when you woke up from the face transplant, and the hand transplant, tell me a little bit about the hands. The hands. I know that you said earlier that they had to amputate your fingers, and are your hands? I know that you can use them, and you said something about the gloves. I would imagine that you need to shield your skin from the sun as much as you can. Yes.
I guess so. With a transplant, you can't be in the sun too long. It can cause rejection for me at least. I don't know about a kidney or heart though. When I had an inside transplant,
Mm-hmm.
but I have to be careful with sun. Extreme heat can also cause rejection too. Extreme cold, so
Mm-hmm.
extreme weathers can cause rejection.
Mm-hmm.
I do wear like long sleeve shirts in the summertime, UV protectant long sleeve shirts like fishermen wear,
Mm-hmm.
like on the boats. I also wear UV gloves with driving or walking around because I
Mm-hmm.
have to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I also wear like sun hats, protect my
Mm-hmm.
face, and sunglasses
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
because
So you're
my eyes were affected during the crash. So I can't see
Mhm.
text from afar. So
Okay.
I wear sunglasses to protect them.
Hmm. Do you know anything about your donor?
I know he passed away at 48 and from a stroke. That's it. It's also a donor family if they want to tell me anything or not. But I always say online that I'm willing to meet up with them with no cameras. I don't know if the hospital, the donor team says like you have to, this has to be on video for research purposes. And,
Mhm.
but like, I think that's not, if they said, I don't know, I'm just saying that just to say that. I don't know if they said that or not, but uh, I think that'll be pretty messed up having
Yeah.
cameras there. It's a pretty sentimental moment. It's not like a heart, kidney, or lung transplant where it's inside. It's
Mhm.
someone's loved one on someone else's face and hands, and
Mhm.
they can see and they can feel it too from the hands and face, So I think, I think it could take time for them, but it's been
Yeah.
4 years now, so I don't know if they're still on it or if they just forgot about it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it must be pretty traumatic for them too. So, yeah, the both of you, their family, and you as the recipient, and your family as the parents of the recipient. So, but let's switch to like what you're doing with your life today. Now, you mentioned that you're driving. And I know that you love to drive. So, you're able to drive. And then you just recently started something that you want to tell people what you're doing as far as the shirts are concerned and the name of your company.
Yeah, so like I started a t-shirt brand called 8% Gone. It's not out yet. I'm still printing them and working at the kinks. It'll be a lot easier than I thought, a lot harder than I thought, but uh every time I get like 2 steps forward, I take 1 step back because of my hands.
Mhm.
I remember I was on a roll once before July. In June, I was getting things rolling, but then I got admitted to hospital for infection on my neck,
Uh,
which is the blue tape is still there. It's the cut is
mhm.
still there. And that's from a biopsy. So I had to go in for that. And then they took me off a transplant medication called everolimus. And the side effect to that is, slower wound healing. So they took me off of that too quickly. They released me from the hospital. And then I had a everolimus withdrawal because everolimus is also a cancer drug where it helps chemo. So my hands and like my whole body like turned red. It was painful. I told my doctors, "Hey, I'm in pain instantly now." And there's no like gradual pain. There's like instant pain. I woke up, and so we got to come back in. So I went back in again for a withdrawal for about like a week or so, and then got out for a couple days. Got another infection in my hand from a cut I had. So the whole month, so I went in June 19th all the way to August 2nd. I was in the hospital,
Wow.
maybe like 2 or 3 days out at home. during June. So like June was shot, and that's when I had everything was going to release in July.
Yeah. So, yeah, you've got quite a journey. You've been on quite a journey, and I have been praying for you. I know that a lot of people who know you online, your story is online, and you've got a Facebook page, you've got TikTok channel, you've got other social media, correct, where people can stay in touch with you and learn a little bit about you as you go through this recovery process and the settling down of all of these things that you have been going through. Um, do you want people to know more? Are you releasing information as you go through this process?
Yeah, I post a lot on my Instagram at 8% gone. I kind of slowed down my TikTok because I'm like I guess a cloudy stage in my head. There's nothing really like I haven't been doing much because it's summertime.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been going outside to do activities. Jessica got super busy with her job. Her schedule got switched around, so
Mm-hmm.
she has a second shift. So it's like her whole day is shot.
Yeah.
So I have no one to film me, do anything. And then on top of that, it's just too sunny for me. So I just stay inside all day and just work on my shirts and I work out the kinks and the logo and everything. But it's just been a rough couple months for me. But
Yeah.
I'm getting it better and better.
Yeah.
Uh, slowly though.
Yeah, but your attitude is great. Like you're seeing the other side of this whole thing. Then you'll get back to the shirts and the logos and the things that you do. And I understand the hands. I can imagine that they had to tie a lot of nerves together in order for you to be able to get full use of those hands. And physical therapy is probably a big part of your world still, where that's concerned. Yes.
I actually had to stop it because I was going through everything. Uh, so I'm actually starting in 2 weeks with occupational therapy
Hmm.
closer to home. So it's a lot easier for me, and I stay out of the city because every time I go into the city, I get readmitted to the hospital every 3 months,
Hmm.
and my record was 7 months until I got the infection on my neck.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So here's a question for you. How can people support you in your journey? Is there anything people can do to support you?
I just share my story. So you go on my Instagram page and share it. That's like the best way.
Hmm.
I don't like asking for money. I did have a GoFundMe for like medical transport because my team couldn't help me with the transport getting to my appointment. So
Hmm.
and I just can't take public transportation because it's a huge infection rate.
Yeah.
And every time I take public transportation, I get MRSA,
Oh my
which is an
goodness.
infection.
Oh, joy.
Yeah.
Joy. Do you have your story online? I know you have a website. What's the website? And is part of your story on that site?
All right, let's say it's 80% gone.com.
Hmm.
Uh, and
And
like
then
there's pictures on there that aren't allowed on TikTok and Instagram. Like me on the side of the road all burnt. Uh, I'm just happy my underwear didn't burn off because I was just wearing my underwear. That was like when I first saw that picture, like my parents were like, and when my friend was there too. She's the one who got the picture, my friend. She was like, "This is gonna be pretty traumatic." And the first thing I said was, "Thank God my underwear didn't burn off because my shorts were burnt." It was summer. It was July, so I was wearing shorts and t-shirt, and like yeah, and my socks weren't even burnt either, which is interesting. I still had socks on.
yeah. Yeah, strange. Uh,
Yeah.
Joe, I can't believe we're out of time. We have a 1 minute left, and I just want to say a huge thank you for agreeing to have this conversation with me on Conversations That Make a Difference. Your sense of humor, your positive attitude, your courageous spirit, all speak to my heart, and I hope that people who are watching this will have the same feeling that I have. Is there anything last that you want to say before we go?
Oh, no, it was nice being on here and talking to you again.
Yeah. It was great to talk to you and to learn more about your journey. And I just hope that I hope that people are moved by this and want to know more. They stay in touch with you. Maybe they want to get to know you better. And your story is one of, like I said, I can't use the word courage enough with you, because it's beyond me. I don't know what I would have done given the circumstances in the situation, but you pressed on and you're pressing on and you're creating a business and you're telling your story and you're bringing hope to people who may not have had hope. So I thank you for that. And I thank you for joining me on Conversations That Make a Difference. And for those of you who are listening, my hope for you is that every conversation that you're having is not only making a difference in your life, but making a difference in the lives of people you talk to and people you love. Joe, thank you again. And I hope we'll visit with you another time on Conversations That Make a Difference. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Tune in next time for Conversations That Make a Difference with host Teresa Velardi every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 radio network. Thank you for listening, and thank you to our producer Rachel and to our station owner Deborah Beauvais, working behind the scenes. Be sure to go to conversationsthatmakeadifference.com for your free gift. Make sure your conversations make a difference.